Today I want to ask you all a question. If you're in high school or college or any sort of schooling right now, do you remember all of the curriculum for the past 2 years? If you're a senior in high school and I gave you an algebra problem from 1 or 2 years ago, would you be able to immediately solve it correctly? Do you remember all the dates and facts you learned in history class? Does anyone honestly remember all the information they learned in the past 2 years of school and would be willing and able to solve any problem I gave them? Probably not. The point I'm getting at here is the same goes for League of Legends. There's a lot of information, details, and statistics in this game, and it's constantly changing over time. As of February 14th, 2013, there are 440 QWER skills, 110 natural passives, 132 items, and a lot of stats for each and every champion. And the scary thing is, each little detail can be the difference between getting a kill and feeding one. So many players either forget or never bother to learn important details about this game, even if it's about a champion that they play or that's often played in their lane. They take things at face value, watching what a champion does, and assess him based only on what they see. This can be a pretty big mistake and can be a pretty huge handicap to your team in most situations. Pantheon is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Now obviously, depending on what role you play and how much you play as or against him, you may or may not know much about him, but the average player will probably only judge him, as I said, at face value, based only on what they can see. They know he has a passive that shields himself from the next auto attack or turret shot, a Q that throws a spear for some damage, a W that stuns, an E that does some cone damage in front of him, and his ulti which teleports him and deals some AoE damage where he lands. So many players assess champions like this and don't really know much else about them. Even those who play as Pantheon don't know everything. Don't forget to make sure that you're up to date on information regarding those who you play as and against in your specific role. It can have a huge effect on the game. For instance, Pantheon has one of the highest base movement speeds in the game. This makes it so he doesn't have to start boots and can pick up some extra damage, durability, or sustain for his first few items. It can also help him escape or get in range for that final Q to finish someone off. Obviously, knowing or not knowing this as someone who's playing as or against him can be a pretty big factor in a game. A more obvious one is that his E grants him 100% critical strike ratio if his target's health is under 15%. This makes last hitting and finishing off kills a lot easier for him, another thing that can be really devastating for someone who's playing against him if you aren't aware of it. Thirdly, Pantheon's passive blocks all standard attacks that do more than 40 physical damage to him. If you know this, you can do something like provoke a Panth player into attacking you when a siege minion is in your creep wave, causing the siege minion to attack him and waste his passive, letting you get some extra damage in on your little engagement. And finally, his stun, his W, procs his passive when he uses it, theoretically letting him negate 2 successive auto attacks or turret shots, giving him many more opportunities to dive his lane opponent than you may first think. Knowing all this, playing as Pantheon will make getting kills a lot easier for you, and it will open up many more opportunities for you to take advantage of your opponent's mistakes. Knowing this when playing against Pantheon will make you more cautious and help you to understand your limit for how long you can stay in lane or how aggressive you can be, saving your life time and time again. There are plenty of things you don't know about each champion in the game, especially if you're fairly new. My advice to any newcomers or those of you who've been playing for less than a year is learn everything. Make sure you're making a conscious effort to learn, at the very least, all the skills of every champion who's played in your lane. That's a good place to start. And veterans, don't forget my point at the beginning of this video. There's no shame in rereading champions' abilities, looking up forgotten stats, or treating yourself like you're a noob who needs to relearn a certain champion or aspect of the game. A player's ego should be one of his biggest fears. It's responsible for so many of his mistakes and can destroy an individual's skill extremely quickly. Keeping yourself in check by doing things like reteaching yourself champions, rereading skills, or looking up forgotten stats can help keep your ego in check, and it can also help you win many more lanes in the process. Although this video may have been more obvious to some of you, I'm sure there's still things even you don't know about League. Things that will cause your death every once in a while too. Be careful out there and never let your ego get the better of you. Until next time though, thanks for watching everyone. If you really enjoyed this video and you're interested in more, feel free to subscribe, like, and share. And as always, good luck in solo queue and have a wonderful day.